Back again then, guys, for Empower Online, and this time a very topical conversation with Jessica Jones from Amazonia School of Self-Protection that I'm sure we'll get into in terms of why it's topical and why it's such a hot topic in terms of female self-protection at the moment. Jess is obviously one of the best self-protection people out there at the moment. I hear only good things in the martial arts world. Many people recommended her to come onto the podcast. So, Jess, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Well, that's a hell of an intro, isn't it?
Boom. You got to live up to it now.
Boom. No pressure. Good
You'll be
Lord.
great. Yes, this will be good. I'm
thank
looking
you
forward
for
to it.
having me. Thank you for inviting me.
You are very, very welcome. I want to go straight back to the start. So, why did you get involved in self-protection to begin with?
So, I am aware that a few people have heard this story, but there might be some others that haven't. So,
100%.
a friend of mine, a very, very, very good, close friend of mine, was in a horrifically abusive, controlling and coercive and just vile relationship. And she thankfully broke free of him after 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was the best thing that ever happened to her. But it came with a whole load of luggage. And I was, this woman, for me, she's a goddamn superhero, you know, and I've said to her, the only thing that's going to trip you up is the length of your cape.
Yeah.
Nothing else will ever trip you up again. She's so strong, and I'm so proud of her. But when we were when I was helping her go through all of this stuff, her ex-partner hated me with an all-consuming passion because he didn't expect her to do what she did with the help and assistance of her tribe.
Yeah.
Obviously, which I was in. Anyway, I was looking after the children there one night, and he found out that it was me looking after the kids, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a problem. And anyway, I did all the right things. I did everything that I was told to do, and I gathered them all around me and all the rest of it. And it's very uncomfortable because it was an overnight stay that I needed to help my friend with. So in the morning, he didn't come up. He didn't, he didn't set about me. He didn't come and try and take his kids or anything like that. But what it did do in the morning was I was furious. I was absolutely furious because I thought, you know what? She's had 17 years of this fear and this absolute living on her wits. I've had one night of it and I'm a basket case. One night. I thought, no, I am not allowing him to have that much power over me as he had over her. Not an option. So I decided I was going to need to learn something. And one of my other jobs as well is I'm a therapist.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like freakishly strong for a woman. You know, I've got my treatment bag, I've got my massage couch, you know, and I sort of like click and clack people's body back into shape.
Yeah.
You know, make some noises.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, there's no point in having all this strength and not knowing what to do with it. Because had anybody come at me then, because I didn't have the mindset or the training or the skill set or the knowledge, it would have been like if somebody grabbed me, it'd have been like, you know, like,
Sure.
Anyway, so I went into my local gym. I was just going for a swim, actually, and there was this sign there saying, you know, learn Krav Maga and, you know, protect yourself and fear no man. And that was like a really strap line. I thought, oh, that sounds all right. I'll give that a go. So I went along to the first class. And have you ever seen the film Legally Blonde?
Many years ago, but yeah.
Well, the premise is, you know, there's this real ditzy blonde and she goes to law school.
Yeah.
And she rocks up at Harvard on her first morning and she's all pink and glittery and all like, you know, ditzy. Yeah, that was me. Yeah, so I had my big shades on and I had my latte from Starbucks and I had like my pink sparkly bag and I like trotted in. Right.
You got the tiny dog under your arm.
Yeah, well, I'm more of a cat person, but yeah, so it had that kind of premise. I was just totally clueless. Totally clueless. And anyway, I walked in and this big bloody silverback gorilla come thumping over to me and he just looked me up and down and he went, yeah? I went, oh, hello, I've come for Krav Maga. And he
Mm.
said, all right, put your coffee down, put those mitts on. That's who you're sparring with. I was like, oh, no, 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 no. You don't seem to understand, you see, because I've just come to, get a feel for it and all the rest of it. And he went, well, you're here now. Put your coffee down, put those mitts on. That's who you're sparring with. And sent me into the gladiatorial arena. And that was nearly 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
An interesting introduction.
I wasn't, I was 43 when I started.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm nearly 53. So yeah, nearly 10 years ago that. And yeah, that happened. And yeah, so that's how I got started. If you'd have told me back then, this is the journey that I'd been on and this is what I've achieved,
Yeah, yeah.
what I'm doing now for a job, I'd have gone, yeah, no, not so much. Yeah, here we
Okay.
are. Here we are.
So how did that journey start unfurling then? Or unfurl, is that the word? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
unfurling, what a great word. So, so basically, I trained in it for I say many years, about 4 years, and then lockdown happened. Yeah, because I
Hmm.
started in 2016, and then lockdown happened 4 years later. And the guy that was teaching us thought was like thought was like the epicenter of all of Krav Maga because we didn't know any different.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean? I'd come from, I'm like 43-year-old mother of two, you know what I mean, who just took her lads to karate twice a week, every week for
Yeah,
years.
cool.
Didn't realise that he didn't, he wasn't really, all he said was on the tin. We'll leave that there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
And we just thought he sort of everything with Krav Maga begun and ended with him.
Hmm.
Anyway, so lockdown happened, decided to carry on training, sort of, in a bubble with my friend and
Yeah.
just carried on because I thought, well, hang on a minute, we've done this for 4 years. It's like, I don't want to just give it up just because he stopped training everybody. He didn't even do any Zoom calls, like some people did in lockdown.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing. So I was like, well, I'm just going to carry on. I was trained in parks, trained in the mud, trained in the snow, trained in the rain, just trained in car parks, just trained wherever. Anyway,
Into it then. Yeah.
a friend of mine who's an ex-Royal Marine, he trained with him sometimes, and he said, like, what's this all for, Jess? Like, what are you doing with this? Where are you going with this? And I was like, well, I love training and I love learning. And he said, well, that's great, but now what? He said, have you ever thought about becoming an instructor? I was like, no, because I was like, I always thought I was the new kid. I still do to some degree, which I don't think is a
Mm.
bad thing.
No, that's a good mindset. Yeah.
Um, anyway, so that set me on the path to becoming an instructor, and so I did, and and actually, it was only when I became an instructor that I really started learning afterwards how to teach and how to,
Sure.
because the stuff that I learned on my instructor course, I would say now is a million miles away from the stuff I teach now.
I was going to say, what's the process like of being a instructorship then?
I suppose it depends on the person that's offering it, really. I mean, you get some instructorships that are seriously intensive.
Mm.
I know Amit Himmelstein, his IKF program, I know his instructor programs are pretty intensive. It varies. I mean, but then you can get some people out there that offer to become an instructor as easy as cutting something out from the back of a Cocoa Pops box.
Right. Okay.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They just hand them out like Smarties, and I think,
Jump
well,
on this weekend course and you'll be fully certified, or
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I was on I was a 4-day course I was on, and I
hmm.
met some great people. Tommy, one of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Tommy Joe Moore.
Yep.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a
I know pretty well.
friend of mine now. He's a great lad, and I do irritate him a lot, though. I think he's just like, I'm a bit of a wasp to him, like, oh God, she's here again.
Bat it off.
Yeah, just bat me.
I'm sure you're not. Yeah, he's
So
pretty tolerant.
so that, yeah, and then that was with a federation, which I left that federation because it was going in a very different direction. So yeah, and then I just started to train with so many other people, and up and down the country. I've been to Israel to do
Mm.
a 7-day Krav Maga camp, which was hot.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
So that was
Because
with,
obviously
so
Krav Maga, the birthplace,
yeah,
is in there.
absolutely.
So
So it was with a guy called Ron Engelman. He was running these 7-day courses, and it was really good because we went over and um, kind of thought it was going to be a lot harder than it was. I think I'd created this sort of monster in my head, like, oh my god, you know.
yeah,
Um, but then I kept saying, well, we can't die. We're not going to die, are we? I mean, God, like, what's the worst that can happen, for God's sake?
sure.
So it was really good. It was really, really good. And we learned how to work in different environments. So we worked in the forest, on the beach, in the sea, in the city. We did some third party stuff. We trained with oh these cute little guy called, I'm calling a little guy. He's like a bloody master. Raphael Greasie. Have you ever heard of him?
I haven't, no.
So Raphael Greasie, he's got to be late 80s now. He's a really cute little old man, but I would never say that to his face.
You're a bit of a
um,
badass.
oh yeah, for sure. He was in. You know, I've heard of him in Lichtenfield.
Hmm.
Yeah, he was like the creator of Krav Maga.
Yeah.
Raphael Greasie was one of Imi's first students to ever get given a black belt.
Oh, cool.
So we trained with Rafi for the day up in this really odd location, this like big metal cow shed in the middle of a field. I mean, it looked like a bloody kill house, for God's sake, but best
Being
day
taken to the
ever.
slaughter.
You're like rolling around on the floor, and you just, there's you just corrugated metal ceiling. You can imagine the heat, can't you?
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was just gnarly, and it was just like, yeah, just get down and just learn this stuff. And Rafi spent the full day with us, and ironically, Ron did his translating for him. He didn't speak English, and he said to all of us, the whole group, at the end, basically was translated as, a black belt does not define who you are. A black belt, but if you, what defines who you are is how you feel inside, and what humbles you doesn't define you, because after all, belts just hold your pants up.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought, well, if that's his take on it, and he's like the first black belt student of the creator of Krav Maga, I thought, well, yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. And I've kind of like taken that strap line and used it quite a lot, actually, because I think it definitely gives you, to become black belt takes tenacity and,
Yeah,
and bloody hard work.
sure.
I would never
As
take
it should, yeah.
never take anything away from anybody that's a black belt. I'm not a bloody black belt, not at all.
Hmm.
But I've seen how hard my sons have worked, and they are black belts. But
Yeah.
ultimately, it belts hold your pants up. If you really need to, that's not the stuff that you're going to be accessing. And I'm probably going to put a lot of noses out of joint saying this, but you asked the question.
Yeah, well, it's your truth, and this before we pressed record. Obviously, I said, "What is it you want me to say? You don't want me to say teach martial arts. You don't want me to say teach self defense. You want me to say self protection." And I was
Yes,
like,
of
"Okay."
course. Yeah.
And then I asked you why. So if you want to give me the response, or give
So,
back the response that you gave me, because it was a
okay,
good answer that I really liked. I
I'm
was like,
going to
"Oh,
try
it's going to be a good conversation." Nice one.
word for word now. So basically,
Yeah, verbatim.
the word defense is you're having to defend, aren't you? You're defending against something. If you are having to defend against yourself against something or someone, it already means that you're under attack.
Yeah, it's reactive.
Yeah. So what's happened is you where was where were you at the beginning of your story? Where were you at the middle of your story? Why are you just taking part in your story now at the end? Why self protection, which is what I teach, is everything. It's the whole 360-degree sphere of everything. So it's how you view the world, how the world views you, how you carry yourself, how
Hmm.
you interact with society, your environment, your awareness. I know that word awareness gets bandied around like a bloody tennis ball, but awareness is like a category, and then from that comes lots of subcategories.
Sure.
You've got your situational awareness, environmental awareness, um, and your self awareness as well. Because if you, for example, if you go out there if you wake up in the morning and you've just woke up really grumpy, really shitty mood, wrong side of the bed, it's just all gone wrong from the minute you woke up, and you go out into the world and you go about your business, and somebody pisses you off, that's you already highly activated and very, very susceptible to provocation.
Yep.
And that person that may have pissed you off, like, took your parking space, bumped you in the queue, whatever, that could be the absolute end of the world for you. And you're not a bad person, but you're just a good person having a bad day.
But you've had a bad day. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and so it's looking at that aspect of it. It's looking at verbal de-escalation. It's looking about how your body reacts, your gut instinct, your body language, what that says to the world. Everything, absolutely everything. And then it's about how to weaponize yourself, how to weaponize your environment. I've just finished doing a 6-week course with some women, and one of the modules was weaponizing yourself and weaponizing your environment. And they're all a bit like, I'm not a weapon. And I'm like, well, you actually are. You're a walking weapon. Just in your head alone, there are 5 weapons. And they're like, what are they? So I make them really think about it. And I'm like, well, okay, what is in your head you could weaponize? They're like, your teeth? Yeah, your teeth. Your eyes? I'm like, how do you weaponize your eyes? Where's that coming from? That's coming from your brain. Your brain is a weapon. Yeah. Your headbutt, just good old fashioned headbutt, is a weapon. Yeah. Your spit is a weapon. It's projectile.
Yep.
It's gonna create some distance, and it could be that momentary thing that you fill somebody's face with a whole load of whatnot. You're gonna get that. Oh, I'm not saying it's a game changer, but it'll certainly assist.
Yeah.
And then your last one is your voice, and you carry all these 5 weapons in just your head all the time, all the time.
Yeah.
And if with the right mindset, you can weaponize any of those, then great. But I do a lot of vocal stuff. Do a lot of vocal training, verbal de-escalation, and all this stuff's really important. And you know what? Because everyone thinks that what I do is all like. People say to me, like, "Oh, you're still doing that?" I'm like,
yeah.
Just okay. You might get that as well, Dan, but
anyone in martial arts has taught it for a while. Yeah, no, 100%.
And I'm like,
show me something. Yeah.
Just so we're clear, I have never and probably will never do this. Just so we're clear.
I think you're missing out. That could be your niche.
I know. It could be like a little tagline. So there's all, and a lot of it, probably I'd say a huge chunk of it is not the physical. I teach the physical side of it because obviously you do. If shit's gone wrong and all the other stuff, all the other really important ingredients that come before that, if all of that's gone wrong, and you are finding yourself in a physical altercation, then you are going to need to learn some skill sets, and I also teach that. But I've created the my own style of that, and nobody's ever heard of it before, because when I go to like Kaizen and things like that, where there's a big like pocket of specific martial artists, and they sort of like, so like, what do you do, and what style are you, and what belt are you, and what dan are you? And I'm like, I don't have any belts and I don't have any dans. I teach the ancient ninja warrior art of Bathakat. They're like, Bathakat. And I say it really quickly to try and confuse them, like, Bathakat. I'm like, what's Bathakat? And I'm like, okay, so do you have a cat? Yeah. Would you try a bath in it? No. Why not? Well, she'd kick my ass, that's why. That's what I teach.
Go feral.
Yeah, you have to engage absolutely everything you have got to get home safe. Everything, Yeah. But like I said, you can't apply rules to it.
Can you teach that? Can you teach that mentality of applying everything into it? And
You got
You
to
know,
get
because
people
some
to
people,
access the. You got to get people to access the mindset.
which is a tricky thing in an environment like you're all friends, maybe over the weeks it's become like friendly, we're all having a bit of a laugh and a joke. You try and do the verbal thing, start swearing at them. We spoke a little bit about this before, and you go, fuck this and fuck that, getting in their face a little bit. And the tendency is to giggle, and then you're having it with your friends and stuff. But really, that's the reality, because as you've said before, the verbal escalation is what starts and then ramps it up, and then you go into the physical after. But usually, as Jeff Thompson said before, there's like kind of interview process, isn't there?
Yeah.
Where it's like there's the pre-interview where it's like, okay, well, what are you looking at, what are you doing, blah blah blah, and this is where it escalates. As you say rightly, it's the verbal, and then the physical is it right at the end.
Yeah, the physicals. But the thing is, and this really sort of this really yanks my chain. And again, I'm probably going to put some noses out of joint, but whatever.
Cool, good.
This'll work on the street. Are you always on the street? Are you always going to be on a door? You know, I've worked with some great guys, you know, that all, you know, are ex-doormen. And I know Jeff Thompson, that was his heritage. I've met Jeff,
Yeah,
actually. He's a really, really nice guy.
yeah, Jeff's great. Yeah, I've had
Yeah.
him on the podcast before. He's a good guy. Yeah,
He, you know, he's a lovely guy, and that was his heritage. That was how he, you know, he cut his teeth on doing that kind of
yeah,
stuff, and obviously went on to
knocking people out.
yeah. So on the door,
Yeah,
social violence, because people don't. There's two different types of violence. There's social violence and asocial violence. Social violence can 9 times out of 10 be de-escalated,
yeah,
because with social violence, it's 9 times out of 10 a good person having a bad day.
yeah.
Yeah. So I learned this very valuable teaching tool from Richard Dimitri. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Shredder. I know Richard. Yeah.
Well,
I know Richard.
I did Richard and Pam's masterclass back in, when was it? 23 or 22? Down
Yeah,
in Great Yarmouth. It
yeah,
was 4 days of, honestly, and it was like, we didn't put one mitt on.
yeah.
We didn't nothing. It was all theory based. It was all,
Great.
you know, scenario role. It was explaining human behaviors. It was
Yeah,
mind blowing. And I use a lot of Richard and Pam's teachings in my teachings. The good thing about learning from loads of different people is you can take different things and you
definitely.
can put together your own little hybrid of,
Yeah,
and that's what I teach. I'm very lucky that I've been able to, and I will continue to do, go all over the country and all over the world, gathering information, like a little sponge. And every time I step into somebody's seminar or somebody's class or onto somebody's mats, I'm a student.
yeah.
I'm a student. And that's the part, my logo, around the edge of the logo, it spells sometimes a teacher, always a student.
Fantastic. Yeah,
And because I think if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
yeah, yeah. 100%. Yeah.
But getting back to this social violence, if you, for example, right, you've got two dudes. They're both getting ready at night to go out at night, and you know, they have to shave, and they're doing their hair and putting the nice smart iron shirt on. Fast forward the end of the night, and social violence has escalated, and it results in a one-punch kill. One of those dudes is going home with a toe tag, and the other one
Yeah.
of those dudes is going home with a prison sentence. Yeah, that's the reality of it. There's no glamour in it. Yeah, and at some point in that journey, for it ending into an absolute shit show, it can be, you know, instead of basically. But what I'm trying to say is, fucking nick my pint over, mate. You know, which way you going?
My bad.
Yeah, hey, listen, I'm so clumsy. I'm so sorry. Let me buy you another one. You know, in fact, what is that your wife? Right, let me buy you and your wife a drink. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, if you're dealing with a good person having a
Yeah,
bad day, or that might be highly activated, or you know, medicated or whatever, because
yeah. Under the effect of something, or
yeah, it could be the effects of something. He could have just had a really bad day himself, and he's a good person
yeah,
having a bad day, and you've triggered him by stealing his pint. If he's a good person having a bad day, it'll be like, all right, listen, there's no need to go to all that trouble. It's fine. Look, just telling you, be careful. Yeah, no worries, mate. My bad. Both guys do this. However, in a social situation, you've got a little bit of alcohol, you've got a little bit of ego. And by the way,
Yeah.
this isn't me going on about the male ego. Women have egos as well.
Everyone's got an ego.
Everyone's got an ego.
Everybody.
So you've
Yeah.
got alcohol, ego, miscommunication,
Yep.
environmental prompts. Your mates go, you fucking couldn't let him talk to you, like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've got all of this external stimuli going on, which would result in a bit of pigeon chesting. Like, come on, men, come on, outside. And it it just escalates and escalates,
Yeah.
and these flames go higher and higher and higher, and before you know it, you're out in the car park, you're having a roll around, somebody gets hit, they fall, they hit their head on the curb, and it's game over.
Game over.
All
Yeah.
because of a pint of beer. Whereas if
Yeah.
that was handled
Differently.
correctly and with a bit of de-escalation, that's just, well, for example, let me give you an example, right, about verbal de-escalation and how important it is. I'm a really bad driver, right? Wow, no.
You say, yeah, I won't.
Listen, I'm not going to lie. And anybody out there that's been in my car with me at any one time will be nodding their head feverishly.
Note to self: don't get in a car with Jess.
I'm a really bad driver. Listen, I can't have all the superpowers, can I? I've got to have some kryptonite somewhere.
It's your kryptonite, yeah, exactly.
My kryptonite is I'm a shit driver, right? So I'm in the car this one day, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm messing about. I might be on my phone or drinking a coffee. I'm joking. And I'm hearing all this beeping, and I'm like looking around. This guy's like, "You fucking nuts, you want car," and all this. And I'm like, "What?" Like genuinely, like, what have I done?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we pulls up level at the traffic lights. He winds his window down. I wind mine down. And I'm like, and he's gesticulating, you fucking idiot, you didn't fucking see me. You just fucking cut me up. And I'm like, oh, I'm ever sorry. Did I? And he went, yeah, did you not even see me? I went, you know what, dude, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't. I'm so sorry. Yeah. And he went, well, you need to look where you're going. I said, I do. You're right. I said, I'm a really bad driver. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I mean,
it's just deflation, isn't it?
Yeah, and he just went, well, I'm...
oh, shit.
Yeah, he said, well, I'm sure you're not that bad. And I just went, oh, dude, I'm the worst. Right?
Yeah, if you got to it.
By the time the light went green, he went that way, I went that way, we were both laughing.
Yeah.
I'm never going to see him again in my life.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it was I think it was Tim Tackett, who's a JKD guy. He put a video out at an Eric Paulson seminar many years ago. And obviously Eric Paulson, MMA, whiz kid, kind of did MMA before it was MMA really. But he said in terms of self-defense, exactly what you just said, in terms of, he called it verbal jiu-jitsu, where it's like, what the fuck are you looking at? And it was like, oh, I'm really sorry, mate, your shirt, where'd you get it from?
Yeah, that's a nice shirt, man.
Yeah, pretty cool. Like, what the fuck? Are you looking at my girlfriend? Like, I thought I went to school with her, but actually I can tell.
Is her name Matilda?
Exactly, you've got it. Yeah, perfect. These little just... and it just calms everything down. And it's funny, I was listening to a podcast with Darren Brown actually yesterday, and he was talking about exactly the same thing, where he just finished a hypnotist or like stage performance or something. And then he was walking back in London when he was young, about 3:00 in the morning. Some guy bumped into him and kind of went, what the fuck are you doing about it? And he went, no, the gate outside my wall isn't that big. And this guy went, what? And he went, no, the gate outside my wall isn't that big. It's actually pretty small. And this guy just went, what the fuck? And he just,
love it.
Through just being a bit weird and just
100%.
clicking the guy's brain from going, I'm going to have a fight, to going, what the fuck is this guy talking about? He managed, again, just to verbally de-escalate something by a little bit of psychology.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like you're saying, that verbal de-escalation, that little bit of knowing people, ego, psychology, and things like that.
And I think a bit of self-defense as well. Because at the end of the day, I could have been a right Karen then. No disrespect to Karen's out there. But I could have been a right Karen, like, oh my God, it was your fault. You cut me up. And then all of a sudden, it's totally your fault. I was totally looking where I was going. Right? Not all Karens talk like that, by the way.
Apologies to all Karens out there.
And then, we pull up level at the red lights. He pulls something out of his footwell, comes round to my door and stows my head.
Yeah.
You just don't know who you're dealing with. You just don't know. And I'm not going to. I'm going to take that chance. I'm not going to take that chance. And
Nope.
I just bit of self-deprecation. I made the dude laugh. I admitted I was a shit driver, and off I went on my way. You know,
That's it.
and
Win-win for both parties, though.
yeah, it just makes all the difference. But so that's social violence, how it can be escalated, but massively de-escalated. Asocial violence is the stuff that when you're dealing with a good person having a bad day, that can be de-escalated. When you're dealing with an asocial violent person, that's a bad person having a bad day, and that's a terrible combination. Yeah,
That's just sociopaths.
because for example, you bump into somebody, fucking look where you're going, mate. Hey, listen, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. I'm not really concentrating. Like my dog's just died. Yeah, I don't give a fuck about your dog. What are you going to do about this? Then yeah, but the kind of person you're dealing with because they have no empathy.
Yeah.
Because anybody with a shred of empathy will be like, oh, Dave, bloody hell. Sorry about your dog, mate. But just watch where you're going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then if you are unable to be able to de-escalate, then can you look for an escape route? If you can't escape, then you are maybe going to have to access your physical toolbox. So it is important. I'm not dissing it entirely. I'm just saying it's way down on the list.
Yeah, well, it's the last thing on the list, surely.
Yeah, 100%. But that you just reminded
Cool box, the
me.
last
You were
thing.
saying about the garden gate in the fence with that guy.
Yeah.
This course I was on, I'm teaching them how to just like be totally, doesn't matter how daft you sound, doesn't matter how bonkers you sound, and like so I got one of the women. I said, right, grab hold of me by my scruff of my neck, and she went, oh, I don't know if I dare. I was like, no, go on, just grab me. So she grabbed me like this, and I was like, do Smurfs eat blue bananas? And she went, what?
Yeah.
I said, but you let go of me, didn't you, rapid? She went, yeah, because you're mental. I went,
Yeah.
let go of me.
Outweird the weirdo.
Yeah, exactly.
Top tip. Yeah.
And it's just really, really, it's just, I know when people are frightened and, ambushed and pressurized and scared and shocked, the infinite details of psychology can sometimes go out the window. But if you can train your brain to do that kind of stuff routinely, then it's going to come a lot easier. It's going to come a lot easier. And that's why I teach a very important vocal drill, because it's pretty visceral, but it gets them to really understand the importance of like using their voice, for example. I'll tell you about that if you want me to do.
Yeah. Go. Yeah.
Basically, you'll have to tell me, by the way, when we've run out of time, because I'll just go blah, 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 blah.
No, there is no time limit. You can.
Oh my God, you should not have told me that. I might just text my partner and say, can you bring me some more tea?
Yeah.
So what I do with the vocal drill is, and I happened upon this quite by accident. I was down at a training seminar, and it was an instructor update with the federation I was with then. And the guy came up to me and he said, "Okay, you're going to do a 10-minute brief lesson after lunch." I was like, "Dude, could have done with a bit of bloody, I'm thinking, I've not prepped anything. What can I do? What can I do? Oh my God. Oh no, we'll just talk about, let's use our voices.
Mm-hmm.
And so my session started, and I opened it up and everyone stood in front of me expecting to go, right, okay, so I'm just having to push my cat away because she's wanting to be here on my laptop. And everyone was lined up expecting to, okay, get into fighting stance. Okay, put your gun and all that. I said, right, who here has seen the opening scene to Pulp Fiction? A few hands went up.
Mm-hmm.
And this was all literally on the hoof, like fly by the seat of my pants. I was just like winging it. And I said, can anybody remember what I'll remind you? Can anybody remember?
Everybody keep calm, this is a robbery.
No.
Is that what we're talking about?
Little demure woman goes from, I love you, honey bunny.
Oh, yes.
And then she jumps up on the table. Don't any of you pricks move or I'll execute every last motherfucking one of you.
Yeah.
And then a great soundtrack bursts in.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, did anybody expect that from her voice? She's teeny, she's tiny, she's demure. Did anybody expect that to come out of her mouth? And they're like, no. I said, that's what we want to talk about today. is the power of the voice. And I thought that, this can be worked with here. And so I developed a little bit, how can I get this in a class situation, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
So created this vocal drill. And it's basically everybody stands in front of me. Like, I'm at the front. And everyone stands in front of me in like a semicircle. And I say to them, right, what we're going to do is we're going to go round. I'm going to start with me. And I'm going to say my own name at a normal decibel. You're going to say yours. You're going to say yours. You're going to say yours. And then by the time it gets around to me, I'm going to say my name again, louder.
Yep.
And so are you, and so are you. And by the time it gets back to me, I'm going to do it louder. I said, we're going to do this 4 times. And on the 4th time, I want that noise to come from your boots, right? I said, I don't care how stupid you think you're going to sound. I don't care how loud you think you're going to sound. The louder, the better. But I need to hear you open up your throat and shout your voice, shout your name at the top of your voice.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, okay. So I start saying, Jessica. And they go around, and then it gets back to me, and I go, Jessica! I'm not going to do the whole volume thing. It's kind of loud. And they're all, and afterwards, they're all like that. Oh my God, wow, that was great. And they're all like, woo, all like bushy-tailed. And I'm like, okay. I said, right, now I just want you to close your eyes. 1 minute, just close your eyes. And as the eyes are closed, I walk round behind them, and I pick one off randomly. And I get her in a bear hug, and I wrestle her to the floor, and I pull her out of the group, and everybody's like, real can hear some noise, but they turn round and they look at this woman, silent, totally silent. So I'll let it go for a couple of seconds more just to really get the point home.
Yeah.
Not a peep. So inevitably I've sort of wrestled her to the floor. Anyway, I pick her up off the floor. I get her by the shoulders and just say, you're okay, you're safe, I've got you. And I give her a big hug and I say, right, just join the group again. And all the other women are like that. The fuck?
Yeah.
What's happened? And I walked round to the front of them and I was like, right, she's okay, don't worry, she's fine. I said, but did anybody hear her? No. Did anybody hear a word out of her voice, out of her mouth? No. I said, funny that. I said, because minutes before, we knew how loud she was. She's got a voice. However, when you are shocked, ambushed, scared, surprised, stressed, one thing will happen and you will go into freeze mode and vocal paralysis will kick in. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly what happened there. I said, I'm sorry if I startled you. And I just said, you did brilliantly. You did really well. You should be proud of yourself. This is to the woman that I've taken out of the group.
Yeah.
I said, however, you all needed to understand that in order for me to replicate that, it's as close as reality as possible as I could. I had to take you to that place, and they're all like that. Wow. And I'm like, do you get it now? Do you get it? And they're like, yeah, we get it. And I'm like, so you might be able to train something once and think that you'll get it. Yeah, I'm totally good at this. I'm totally good at shouting and using my voice. You need to do that shit a lot. And when I say do it a lot, I'm talking about, just open your voice, exercise your voice. And a lot of people don't want to do it because they think they're going to look stupid or they feel silly. I'd rather feel silly than feel under attack or, I said, because here's the thing, predators don't like noisy prey. They don't want to have to work for it. They want you to be
easy target,
submissive, weak, and collapse under fear. Yeah, if you can engage Bathacat mode, and this crazy bitch like, get the fuck off me, or I do Smurfs eat blue bananas, at the top of your voice, and everyone's like, why did you ask us to use our name? I said, because it's the word that you are most comfortable using at volume. You've had it your whole life.
Yeah.
I said, that sits in your vocabulary easy because it's been there your entire life. I said, if I was to ask you to start shouting help or rape or fire at the top of your voice, that would get caught round about here. That would get caught. and it wouldn't come out. But you needed to understand how powerful your voice is, yet
Yeah.
how quickly it can disappear when you're scared. And this is what I know you can't replicate, full on, fear scenarios, because fucking hell, you'd end up all your students would be a basket case.
Yeah, yeah.
The more you can train your brain to doing that kind of thing,
Mm.
the more stuff that's stored on your Google hard drive, you know?
Yeah, if you,
So,
it's the
so
same with anything, isn't it? Get the reps in.
exactly, it's muscle memory.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as well, is if you find yourself under attack and this has never happened to you before and you've never trained in it, or you've never had any kind of like training stimuli or anything, if anything was to happen to you, your brain will start buffering, and it'll start searching its Google hard drive, like what happened last time? What happened last time? What happened last time?
Yeah.
What did I do last time? This hasn't happened to me before, so I do nothing.
This is new.
This is
Freeze.
new, so I'm not going to do anything. And that's what freeze looks like. Yeah, because your Google hard drive's buffering. I got
Yeah.
nothing. I got nothing. Whereas if you've inputted some stuff on your hard drive with training or vocal training or something, yeah, what do I do? What do I do? I know what I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that could just be the difference between you getting home safe and not, you know?
Yeah.
And that's basically all I'm bothered about. I'm not bothered about, all the bells and whistles, and I'm not doing a great deal of self-promotion here because I'm really not bothered about the whole. I know a lot of people do it, to earn money and all the rest of it. I don't. I just think if I can just get one person home safe, tick, that's job done.
That's what we always say. If we ever teach self-protection or self-defense, we say the best self-defense is when absolutely nothing happens and you
Yeah,
just get back home and you just go, cool. It's
100%.
not when you knocked out 5 guys and did a karate kick to someone's head. It's
Yeah,
like, no, it's when absolutely nothing happened and you just got home
you've
safe.
got home safe. It's the most badass thing
Good
you can do.
success.
That's
Exactly.
basically, what I try and teach. But yeah, it's been a journey, and I'm very lucky to have trained with an awful lot of good people, because I think you need to step out of, you get some people that are just train one thing, that's all they can teach, that's all they know, and then God forbid anybody come and go,
Hang on.
because it's all very well. I'm a bugger, me, at seminars. Oh, I'm terrible. I'm probably wouldn't be allowed at many more, to be honest. But I'm like the what if brigade,
Yeah.
right? So they'll give this thing like, okay, so do this, and I'm like, excuse me, yep, dickhead at the back here. Can I just ask? Can I just ask? What if I'm 8 months pregnant? What if I'm asleep? What if I'm in the shower? What if I am in a wheelchair? What if
Yeah.
I've got hold of my toddler's hand and I'm laying down with shopping in the other? What if
Yeah.
I'm pushing a wheelchair? What if I've got learning difficulties? What if this person that you're asking me to do all this stuff to is my husband? And I've got an emotional connection.
Yeah.
So I can't just fucking gouge his eyes out. Because I'll be like having this, like, why is he doing this? Like, he's my husband, he's supposed to love me, There's that cognitive warfare going on
Yeah. Yeah.
where you can't just access. You can do it if it's a total stranger, maybe, if you're lucky. But, so
Well,
I'm the what if brigade, because these questions aren't
yeah.
asked enough. They're not asked enough.
But that's an area that, unfortunately, is a reality for a lot of ladies and women where they've got an abusive partner or
Yeah,
thing like that. And
massively.
as you say, it's not as easy. One, they probably wouldn't be able to go to a self-defense class or a self-protection class or anything like that because of the control aspect. And secondly, as you just said rightly, it's not going to be so easy to just go bam
No,
to your husband or your partner or whatever.
no.
So what do you do in that scenario?
Because the other thing as well is what I teach is looking for red flags in behaviour, because that stuff, abuse doesn't happen at the beginning of a relationship. So, for example, I go out on a first date with a guy, and the end of the evening comes and the bill comes, and all of a sudden he reaches across the table and punches me in the face. I'm not going on a second date.
Nope.
Because that's like, no, you're a nutter, bye. Block, delete. Doesn't happen like that. It's drip, 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 drip.
Crafty, controlling, conniving.
Mass it is, and it takes some time. And so what they're doing is stripping you of all of this stuff. You know, your dignity, your self worth, you know, and it's only when you're at the lowest of the low, and you couldn't possibly fight back,
Mm.
that, you know, that's when they start. That's when the physical stuff starts. Because if the physical stuff started at the very beginning, you would have enough sass and enough wherewithal to go, yeah, no, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Again, I'm not. This isn't a one size fits all at all, because the
yeah,
world of domestic violence and abuse is vast, and that's a whole other conversation for a whole other day, because it's dark
yeah.
and it's twisty and it's not pleasant. But it's something that's just not understood, and it's something that people just think, oh, we'll work on the street. Fuck off. What if I'm not on the street?
Mm.
You know what I
What
mean?
if I'm in my bedroom in the
What if I'm
comfort
in
of
my
my own
bedroom?
home?
So this is
Yeah,
why I talk about weaponizing your environment.
yeah,
Uh, when I did this course, I was doing it in a college, and I said, right, everybody, you've got 10 minutes. Ransack the college. I want you to all bring me back one thing. Doesn't matter what it is. We will weaponize it. Bring it
yeah,
back. Oh my God, they were a creative bunch, I tell you.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
They brought pictures off the wall, mugs, kettle,
yeah,
obviously, you know, your usual suspects found in a kitchen.
yeah.
We had a knitting needle. I don't know where the fuck they've got a knitting needle from. I think it might have been a sewing class in the room next door.
Let's borrow that, thank
It was
you.
just everything, like everything they could think of, and I was brilliant.
Ingenuity, like it. It's
Yeah,
good.
and I was like, right, so okay, so such a body, you brought this. How would you weaponize that? You know, and it really made them think. And I'm like, what I need you to do is when you go home, or you look at your workplace, or if you're in one workplace every day, all day, or your car, and I want you to
Yeah,
really look at what you can lay your
superb.
hands on immediately. Yeah,
Yeah,
I said, because if what have you got next to your bed? Like I said, you know, such a body. What have you got on your bedside table? Oh, I've got this, you know, this candlestick. I went, oh, that's nice. What's it made of? Oh, it's metal. Even better.
cool. Impact weapon done.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like,
Mm.
right, well, if somebody was to come at you on the bed and you're flailing around and you're trying to protect yourself, weaponize your environment. Yeah.
Yeah.
It might not be a game changer, but it's an equalizer for sure. Definitely give them
Mm.
something to think about. It'll hold them in the tracks. It'll give you something. And something has
Mm.
got to be better than nothing, you know.
Definitely.
And I just say do that with every single room in your house, every single room. Weaponize your bathroom, weaponize your the inside of your car. Yeah. So, and not just that, just telling them to weaponize the home and look with a fresh pair of eyes
Yeah.
is empowering for some people. Oh my God, I never thought of
Mm.
that. You
Yeah.
know, and it gets
Yeah. If you don't see it, you don't see it, do you?
no.
Until it's been. Yeah.
I think,
Oh, actually.
but I think a lot of it is mindset, and you probably heard this bandied around a lot. Mindset, you know, that is huge. It's huge because,
Mm.
and I've got another example. I was doing this seminar once, and it was to an advertising company somewhere in Manchester, and they were. It was told to women. It was open to everybody, but you don't really get a lot of men coming to Amazonia seminars. I don't know why, really. Maybe they just don't want to be taught by a woman. I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe it's that ego again.
Oh, that little old ego.
Yeah.
So I was teaching to women, and I was talking this particular subject about eye gouging, right? And this one woman, and she was very, very lovely, very beautiful, you know, beautiful hair and all petite and well turned out. And I was talking about this, and she was like, "Oh, oh, oh, that's
Yeah.
disgusting." I went, "Is it?" Because I talk about eye gouging like I talk about going to Asda. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like normal vocabulary for me. And I said, "But I said, because so if somebody was about to, you know, they were on you and about to take your life or your liberty, and they
Mm.
were attempting to get in you, would you not do everything you possibly could? Would you not like gouge his eyes out?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't think I could. That's awful." I went, "Okay. Uh, even if there were, you know, two options that were open to you were life or liberty or both." And no, I couldn't. It's disgusting. Okay. I said, right, I'm just going to flip the narrative slightly. Do you have children? And she said, yeah, and her little face lit up, and she went, "Yeah, I've got a little boy." I said, "Oh, that's lovely. How old's your little boy?" And she said, "Oh, he's 3." I went, "Oh, that's gorgeous. What's he called?" He's called Jude. Oh, okay. So for 1 minute, I want you to imagine that this person that's doing this to you clocks Jude, leaves you, and decides he's going to do exactly what he was going to do to you, to Jude. What would you do then? Well,
Watch that switch
her
go.
face. You know when you see these horror films and you see like demon eyes and just go black?
Yeah.
Her face just, it was thunderous, and she just went,
Mm-hmm.
I said, "What would you do?" She went, "I'd fucking kill him." I said, "Would you take his eyes down then?" And she went, "Every one of them." I said, "Right,
Yeah.
well," I said, "So here's the thing." I said, "You've got that. You can access that darkness when you need to. You go to that place when you need to for your baby. But here's the thing. Why would you not place that much importance and priority on yourself?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you ain't going home to Jude. Jude's lost his mama.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah? So find it for yourself, and then you can go on to to carry on being Jude's mum. Don't
Yeah.
find it and give yourself that permission to do whatever the fuck
Yeah.
you need to do. You ain't going home." And it was a bit emotional, and she did actually cry, and I didn't mean to make her cry, and I gave her a big hug, and I said I was sorry, but not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. You needed to hear that, because
Yeah.
you needed to understand that it was within you to do that. You just needed to flip it slightly. And all the other women were like, "Oh my God." Whoa.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because there does seem to be I found it sometimes like a slight cognitive dissonance
Mm.
between what people think they would do and what they think you could do and things like that.
Yeah.
And people go, I'd just run away. And I'm like, okay, fantastic. Well, one, there'd never be any crime anyway. There'd never be assaults then. That's fine, because you just always run away 100% of the time. And then, as I just said, or as you've just said, sorry, I've said before, okay, now you've got a little boy with you.
Yeah.
Or you've got your daughter with you. She's not running away as quickly as you are. What you can do there?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is why it's important to know something,
Anything.
always. I think everyone should learn something
Yeah.
and not just have that, and unfortunately, I think a lot of people won't experience physical assaults or crime, or even potentially even that pre-interview thing
Mm.
where there's just a bit of something might kick off here.
Yeah.
And I think that's good.
You'd hope not, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think we've never lived really in a safer time.
Mm.
But as a result of that, sometimes there's that dissonance between what could you actually do,
Yeah.
and I think people are a lot more confident of their abilities than they actually realistically could do.
Yeah, it's like when you're watching a horror film, isn't it? Oh, I
I
wouldn't
just
do
go
that.
feral. I just go crazy.
I just go
Like,
crazy. I just do that, and I just do that. I'm like,
I just see red.
would you
It's
though?
like,
Because
I don't think you would.
no,
Like, yeah,
because as I said when I did the vocal drill, that goes. As
yeah.
soon as you're adrenalized and you get that dump of chemical that makes your brain go, hang on,
Eh?
yeah,
Mm,
it's physiology, isn't it? It's just the way it
yeah,
is. But
yeah.
yeah. So there's so much to talk about. There's so much to discuss.
It's such a big topic, isn't it? Yeah. Again, then I have no idea what happened there, but it's all good. It's what we were saying was so much truth and so much insight that it broke the bandwidth. Clearly, you broke the internet, Jess.
I
Well done.
broke the
You
internet.
broke the internet. Good job. But we are back. Sorry, what was it you were saying?
Oh God, I don't know.
I don't know. It was 2 minutes ago. It's
It was a
gone.
lot. Maybe I'm like Dory out of Finding Nemo.
It's such a big
It's
topic, though. Like such
so
a
much
huge
to
topic.
unpack. It's
Yeah.
so vast,
And
and I think
go on. Sorry. Yeah.
I just think people out there that are teaching non-realistic approaches are doing a huge disservice to society. Actually,
Which
I
leads
really
me on beautifully to our next topics. Nice segue there. I like that. Which is obviously, I wanted to get you on for a while and said a couple of weeks ago, didn't I? I need some ladies on this podcast because it's
I don't
become
know about lady. It's a bit.
it's become a bit of a sausage fest. So I was like, no, I need some kick-ass women as well. So, and then your name
Fine.
cropped up quite a lot. But then, almost as if the stars aligned and fate coincided, we've now got Sensei Shell blowing up the marketing of TikTok and YouTube and things like that with her pink gi Selfdefense appearing on This Morning a couple of days ago, and showing her I don't even know what choke it was. It wasn't a blood choke. It wasn't a strangle choke. I don't know what it was, but yeah. And, you know, I feel very conflicted because it's shit what she's teaching.
Can I just engage monkey face emoji?
Yeah, I was doing slapping head. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It's
Yeah.
very obvious, and I said this before we pressed record earlier, didn't I? That she's obviously very accomplished at doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And she's got a black belt or a 4th degree black belt, I think, in jiu-jitsu. Japanese jiu-jitsu. Great. Doesn't translate, but it's also very obvious that that's never been pressure tested for her in terms of someone at 6'4" with real intent and real aggression, grabbing her around the neck, dragging her backwards, taking her off her feet, and she goes, "No, you need to get some air, and then you need to drop down to your knees, strangling yourself basically, and then throw them over your shoulder." And it's this.
Oh, don't forget to smell your own armpit.
Oh, sorry, and smell your own armpit. Yeah, that's your viral caption contest right there. Yeah, smell your own armpit and grab some air. So part of me is like, good, because it's bringing a little bit of awareness in terms of self-defense for women and things like that. But then the other majority part of me is going, get someone better, you morons. She's great at marketing, but unfortunately she's crap at self-protection. Why aren't they getting people like you on that are talking about all this stuff beforehand? Probably because it's not so much of an interesting segment for this morning.
It's not sexy, is it? It's not a sexy.
It's not you getting someone over your shoulder.
I can wear a pink gi if you want me to wear a pink gi. I mean,
I'm sure you can rock a pink gi if you wanted to. Yeah,
I've got pink gloves, pink MMA gloves, pink boxing gloves. Everything I've got is pink.
Yeah.
But no, I think she was given this enormous platform of primetime television.
Yeah.
And she should have used that for much more of an educational.
Well, for what we've just speaking about for 40 minutes.
Yeah, just all of it. And what we're talking about isn't, it's not going to, I don't know, it's not bells and whistles, it's not the sexy John Wick stuff, because people subscribe to that. I remember once, just going off on a tangent again.
Yeah, go on.
I was doing a class once, and guy walked in, big buddy, 6'3" dude, and I was like, "Oh, hello, welcome to Amazonia. I'm Jess. I'm the instructor." And he looked past me, and Scott as if to say, and he just came back to me and he went, "Oh, you're the instructor?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "Oh, right." I was like, "So would you like to stay for class or not?" And he went, "Yeah, I'll stay." So it was a 90-minute class. So we did a 90-minute class. I can't remember what stuff we did in there. Some theory, some physical, a bit of a laugh, because I always think we should have a laugh.
Yeah.
And he came to me at the end and I said, "Did you enjoy it?" And he went, yeah, it was all right. But when are we going to learn, all that cool John Wick stuff? I went, "Okay, so here's the thing, dude. You just had 90 minutes of Krav Maga, which is what it was, what it was called at the time." I said, John Wick wasn't John Wick after 90 minutes, So,
also, John Wick is a movie.
It's a fictional character.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that Keanu Reeves hasn't, he hasn't done his time. He hasn't.
He's trained hard. Yeah.
He's trained hard for it to give it some authenticity. But he's a movie character.
Movie, yeah.
In the movie, it's fiction. It's choreographed. It looks all fantastic, and it's CGI'd and bleh. Yeah. Anyway, so you get that a lot. But this woman, getting back to this woman, she, and just as a footnote as well, I think women teaching people to be safe, women to be safe, men to be safe, everybody to be safe, it should be celebrated. It should be encouraged. It should be more of us. I mean, we're like freaking unicorns, aren't we? Female self-protection instructors just don't exist. Yeah. There's few of us across the land and very few and far between. It should be celebrated. And I would always have the solidarity and the sisterhood to get behind any woman and go, "You are doing a great job." I'm good friends with Mary Stevens.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal in what she teaches, but her bedrock of her heritage is karate.
Yeah.
But the way what she teaches now, she's done the course. We did the Richard Dimitri course thing together. We've both done level 1 and level 2 and become licensed instructors with 500 Rising. this is the really important stuff. So you've got Mary Stevens, you've got Philippa Martin, who's doing some fantastic work down in with physical empowerment down in South Wales. I've worked with Pip on some stuff. So many good women out there doing it. None of them have been given the platform she's been given. So none of them have been able to put across the really important stuff. And she's there just doing people a disservice. And I just think it's quite dangerous and irresponsible. And, if somebody wants to call me out on this or have a big old online powwow with me, that's absolutely fine. I'm totally ready. But I stand by what I've said. I just think it's dangerous.
Well, I think the majority of people that have any experience with, I don't like reality-based, but realistic kind of self-protection and things like that are going to be on your side 100%, because you look through the videos and you just go, nope, wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Nope, wouldn't work. Nope, sorry. Nope, you'd be on the floor. Nope, you'd be getting your head kicked in. Nope.
Do you know? So you know Tommy, don't you?
Yeah, Tommy's gone up and do some seminars at mine before. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I always give everything the Tommy test.
Yeah.
And I remember we were down at a seminar in Epping. God, it was ages ago now. It's like years ago. And I said to Tommy, I said, we've been showing this choke thing at class, and I don't know if it works. He went, okay, I'm going to choke you, and you're going to tell me if it works. And he proper put on the choke, and he closed the distance, and he Tommy-fied it, height, weight, sheer brute force.
Yeah.
I was on the lawn because it was, I was on the lawn. I was like, dude, he went, right, that doesn't work. Let me show you what will. And I did this, it totally changed my mindset, what I'd learned, did what Tommy said. He said, because if this can get me off you, it's a pretty good bench.
Yeah.
Because he's a unit, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a good litmus test.
I mean, I call him the ginger giant.
Yeah.
And we did this thing around the throat. And as soon as I did it, he let go of me. He physically, the body mechanics of his digits against my throat, what I did with my shoulder, he just couldn't. He was still in close proximity, so I couldn't just do that and leave it there. I would have to follow it up with other stuff, but my airway wasn't compromised. Because I think your airway is your priority. Yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
They've grabbed hold of me and they've got this and they've got that, but they've got this. And I'm like, right, this doesn't matter. Yeah. This doesn't matter. This matters.
What's the immediate problem? Yeah.
What really needs dealing with now? All the other shit can just wait. Not pleasant, but it can wait. What's now? And it's somebody is compromising your airway. You have got seconds.
Yes,
yeah?
100%.
You use them very wisely. And it's about speed and movement and just it's working about body mechanics. And this woman, oh God. And it's on TikTok and she's got such a susceptible, like impressionable audience.
Why do you think it's gone so viral?
Because, I don't know, it might be a gi. It's a lovely colour. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Do you know why? I think because somebody somewhere gave her the platform. And as soon as you got, I mean, I've been on television before, not in that capacity, but I used to be the president of a WI, actually, a women's institute. Yes, go figure. So I did a lot of work which garnered the attention of the BBC.
Yeah.
Right. As soon as I appeared on the BBC, I had ITV ringing me, I had newspapers ringing me, because it's just snowballed because everybody wants a piece of it. Yeah. And by the time I told that story or told the principle of why I was on telly in the first place, once, everybody else is hearing the same story, but it just went everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous.
It's the power of social media now, isn't it? Obviously.
Absolutely. And I think when you've got platforms like Instagram and TikTok.
You've got Insta, you've got TikTok, you can reach an audience. And as you say, if they're an impressionable audience, that, unfortunately, you just go, that's a quick fix. And as you say, it's giving people that false sense of security.
I really do. And
I agree, it's dangerous, yeah.
But I don't know what the answer is, because now she's out there and she's been given the platform. And again, before anybody thinks I'm poo-pooing it, women that have taken the time and the energy and the effort to go through a journey and become a black belt. Whatever.
Yeah, fair play.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done, because that takes tenacity and a lot of hard work. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I've got the attention span of a gnat. You know what I mean? I've got the attention span of Dory, but I can remember the important shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I can remember all what I'm supposed to be teaching people. And
that's it.
9 times out of 10, that gets people home safe.
Well, that's what you need to do, isn't it?
I
It's
would
not these
like to
flashy
hope it
moves.
does.
It's not these hip throws. It's not these,
Yeah. Well, of course, and I've had people saying, "Oh, you need to get in touch with this morning and tell them that, this, that, and the other, and tell them." And I'm like, no, because that just looks churlish. That just
Mm.
looks like, never mind her. What about me? And that's
Mm.
not what this is about at all.
Mm.
I would champion any woman to go on national television if what they were teaching was valid and safe and realistic.
Yeah, and this is the problem that I have, or that I've been having a couple of days. Is like, as I said, it's crap. Like, I won't mince my words.
It
It is
is.
crap, and it won't work, and it is giving people a false sense. But the positive side is at least people are talking about it. So
Well,
therefore,
that's it. It's got there's two sides to every coin, isn't there?
yeah,
And she's probably benefiting financially massively from it because people are going to be walking through her door.
yeah. So yeah, so if she's running a
Um,
jiu-jitsu school or something like that, then yeah, she's definitely going to get the press and the coverage, or
oh
doing
yeah,
seminars or whatever, or even
yeah,
just even if it's just monetized online with
yeah,
adverts.
exactly. But
But
I think as well as sort of teaching people, you need to encourage good reading material as well.
have you got some
Different.
good reading material that you could recommend to people?
Well, there's the good old classic. You've got the Gavin De Becker Gift of Fear.
Gift of Fear, great book. Yeah.
What's really important about that, because it's a big book to unpack, and you've got to be very
Mm.
careful when you're doing this in classes or courses or seminars, because you will lose your audience because it gets a bit deep in a lot of places. So what I always do with Gavin De Becker is I always pick out the 7 survival signs. Yeah, and when you uh, give all of those survival signs context, you can see everyone in the room going, "Oh my
Um,
God, yes, that's happened to me. That's happened to me. I remember when that, yeah,
yeah,
is that what they were doing? Yeah, that's what they were doing."
yeah,
Um, so that's a really important thing to do, to get across. But
yeah.
there's all sorts of stuff out there, isn't there?
There is. Yeah, there's a whole smorgasbord of literature if you want it.
Smorgasbord, I love that word.
Smorgasbord. Yeah.
Smorgasbord, yeah.
Yeah, there is so much reading
Yeah,
material out there. We're going to wrap it up in a sec, but I know personally that quite a lot of my female students will be listening to this podcast because
yeah.
I'll make them listen to it for a start on threat of burpees next class if they don't or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, don't blame me, ladies. It's all him.
But what would you say is your like top bits of advice for self-protection as a woman and as an instructor in self-protection for your general day-to-day woman?
Okay, so I'm just going to encapsulate what I put on Facebook today, actually, because it just did. So I put, everybody thinks it's not their problem, so nobody does anything about it
Mm-hmm.
until somebody gets hurt, and then everybody is upset.
Yeah.
The truth is, anybody can learn self-protection. Anybody. And the truth of it is, you're not too old, you're not too weak, you're not too inexperienced. Christ, I started this at 43. What 43-year-old middle-aged woman does that?
You do. Yeah.
What's got 2 thumbs and starts self-protection at 43? Oh, I nicked that off my teenage son. He's going to be so embarrassed.
Definitely.
Um, and I forgot what I was saying now. Shit. Oh, yeah, and you're not too anything. You're not too young, too weak, too experienced. But what you are is too precious, too loved, too needed, and too important on this planet to the people in your life that love you and that need you to not protect yourself
Mm.
like you should. You
Mm.
know, and we take out home insurance, car insurance, health
Yeah.
insurance,
Life
life
insurance. Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't take out, out us insurance, do we? We don't look after ourselves, and we
Yeah.
should. But I think women are big culprits of not putting themselves first. Big culprits.
Yeah.
And I think that's universal, actually. But it's about giving yourself permission to do what is needed, what is necessary, whether that be avoid it altogether, even if you look like the unpopular person, listen to your gut instinct. Yeah? Avoid it altogether, verbally de-escalate, and if you have to, engage Batha cat mode. Yeah? But just learn some stuff, anything. Any information is better than no information.
Not since they show.
Yeah,
Yeah, learn some good stuff. Learn the
yeah.
basics.
No, but yeah, I mean, there's the good stuff obviously keep worth remembering.
Yeah.
But it's just everything. I mean, God, you know, we can talk about this all night, can't we? Because we're the same sort of mindset. But yeah, it's just about getting yourself home safe.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
Staying on this planet for as long as you should, not letting some miscreant take you from it.
Yeah. Have a toolbox. Learn to de-escalate. Learn to hit hard if you need to. Last resort.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Yeah. And weaponize yourself and your environment, as you rightly say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Top tip right there. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where can people get in touch with you if they want to book in for workshops, seminars, things like that? Where are you going to be? I know you'll be at Kaizen. I will be.
Yeah, I'm going to be at Kaizen.
Popping onto your mat for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Yeah. So Kaizen, and then I'm doing 6-week courses. So I'm starting off with a free 2-hour workshop to give people an introduction to self-protection, personal safety. Because if you start downloading this onto the layperson, they're going to go, no,
Yeah.
you know, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So if you give them an introduction, say, look, there's this, and this, but there's a whole lot of the backstory, you know, if you want to learn it. And then I'm running 6-week courses with 6 particular modules on that, focusing on things that are generally more common with female attacks.
Yeah.
So strangulation, groundwork, that kind of thing. So I'm doing that. I'm doing one in Manchester. But yeah, it's just a case of just reaching out to me. And if there's any corporate companies that want me to come and train their staff,
I've got a couple in mind actually, and one of them's based in Manchester, so I might have I might do a little bit of.
I've done a few corporate where I've gone and trained the staff, and that's really good that employers make it a priority to actually invest in their staff safety.
100%. Yeah,
and I think
100%.
more companies should do it. To be honest with you, but
Yeah,
again, it's where they want to sort of portion off that budget for, isn't it? But like I say, it's very important. It should be done. But so if anybody wants me to come and teach, I'm happy to just go up and down the country. If anyone wants to put a seminar on, I'll go and teach at the seminar, and that can be anything from a few hours.
Might have to have you down to mine. Yeah, we've got a lot of female students, so I think they would.
Great.
I think they'd love it. Yeah.
Whereabouts are you based, Dan?
Lincoln.
Oh, you're only around the corner.
Only around the corner. Yeah, not too far away. I'm sure.
Well, mind you, I did go down to Norwich at the weekend, and
it's a bit of a trek. Yeah.
What's the longest road in the world? You know what? If I was a flat earther and I believed the earth was flat, I would have fallen off the edge of the earth because the road is that long.
Yeah, it's going to drop right off.
I'm never going to get there.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, they were right.
Yeah.
That's what we'll wrap that up with then, guys. So, flat earth theory is real due to the road in Norwich.
Especially if you drive into Norwich.
Yeah. Perfect. Jess, thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate it. That was really interesting. Lots of golden nuggets there, I think, to take away from lots of different people, men and women.
Well, take them and share them. Give them out like candy. Just share them with whoever. I'm not bothered.
Exactly. Let's get the good self-defense stuff out there, or the good self-protection stuff out there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's needed. Definitely. Thank you so much. I will catch up with you at Kaizen, if not beforehand. And
you're welcome.
Have a beer.
Okay, cool. You take care, Dan.
All right, you too. Cheers.
All right. Bye.